Yesterday we discussed about what is Tridosha. So one might ask me, is the Tridosha only thing which is deciding the health of the body, or which is the only thing which is deciding everything about body? That is not so. Again, let me recite another Sanskrit shloka which explains what I am telling you. The Sanskrit shloka, which is again from Charaka Samhita as well as Ashtanga Hridaya, says that Dosha Dhatu Mala Moolam Hi Sharira. That means the Dosha, Dhatu, and Mala are the root factors deciding the health of the body, health or disease rather. So, what is this? These factors? Let us have a look at the details so that you will understand what will decide body physiology or how the body functions. So, dosha we discussed yesterday. Dosha are the three energies, vata, pitta, and kapha, which are the main factors deciding the functioning of the body. So, whether you are sick or whether you are healthy will be decided by the state of the doshas or the energies in the body. So the vata, as I told you, is about the energy of the wind. So just as I explained to you yesterday, a wind can be a cooling breeze on your skin, or it can be a turbulent tornado. So the same thing happens inside the body. If your dosha, the vata dosha, if it is good, then you will be healthy and very much active, enthusiastic. Whereas if the vata is very highly disturbed, you might experience a stroke or even a myocardial infarction, that is commonly known as a heart attack. So, in that state, we say the vata or the energy of the wind is turbulent, or it's like a tornado inside the body. So, that is how it helps us to deal with the doshas. So, we'll be treating vata dosha in case of a myocardial infarction or even a stroke. So, how it is so, you will have to study deep into the physiology described in Ayurveda, which, with God's grace, we might be able to touch upon in later videos. So, the next dosha is the Pitta. Pitta dosha, as I told you, is related to the sun outside or the fire, outside fire. If you talk about a man made thing, fire is the closest to the Pitta in the body. So, what does it do? So it converts things. It creates energy of heat. So, um, like for example, metabolism in the body is decided by the pitta. So pitta will decide uh, how much of enzymes and how much of hormones you have. So that is why we say uh, metabolism, once it happens, it creates heat. So that heat will decide your body temperature. So, but a slight change even in the body temperature will change everything of conversion inside the body, whether it is the glucose converted into glycogen or proteins creating amino acids. It will be decided by the amount of heat that you have. So uh, that is why we say that the exact temperature in your body, maintaining that temperature is important. For example, when we learn about physiology, we learn that around 37 degrees Celsius is the natural body temperature, which is healthy for a human being. So if there is a slight change in that temperature, like even 1 degree difference, if you become 36 degrees, you become hypothermic. That means below the average temperature. And then if it is higher than what it should be, about 1 degree higher than the 37, that is 38 degrees, then you are having fever. What is commonly known as fever is nothing but a temperature change. So the regulation of temperature has changed. So then what will happen? You are having fever. So when you are having fever, what happens inside the body is your enzymes and the hormones will change, or they will stop functioning altogether. So that is why we say it is good to go for fasting, or what we call it as um, avoiding food, heavy food especially, for some time. So, normally what you eat in that normal amount in the same frequency is not good when you are having fever. The body itself will reject food by lowering your appetite. But if you don't listen to the body and if you still try to force feed yourself, what will happen is when there is no proper enzymes, you will create indigestion. So that is why it's good to have a lot of fluids, and that too warm fluids, to help the body to figure out why it is having fever. So if you give a bit of a rest to the digestive system, then the body will figure out why it is having fever and it will deal with it. So that is the role of pitta in the body. For example, the dealing with the fever, we will tell you how you need to do fasting depending on your age, depending on what physical condition you are in. So that will help us to decide your diet and whatever the lifestyle modifications needed during a fever. So fever is basically a change of pitta. So similar way, if we talk about the kapha or the water component in the body, Kapha will decide your immunity. Kapha will decide your hydration, how much of body strength you have, because Kapha is the binding capacity. So that is how we will decide on the energy that you have for fighting illnesses. As you might well know, 70% of our body is nothing but watery. So the liquid portion is more. So that is how the kapha, as a beginner's understanding, remember that it is related to water. So that is about Tridosha. Is the Tridosha only things in the body? No, not exactly. We talk about something called as Dhatu. Dhatu is the tissues. We don't talk about systems. It is an interesting thing in Ayurveda that we talk about tissues. We say that each tissue will nourish each other. So we talk about seven tissues. Those are called as rasa, rakta, mamsa, meda, asti, majja, and shukra. So rasa tissue is more related to the lymphatics, lymph tissue, or the fluids that run through the body, which has no color. And the rakta is the reddish tissue, red color tissue, that is the blood tissue. And then the rasa rakta, then mamsa. Mamsa is the muscle tissue. Meda, adiposity or the fat tissue. Asti, the bone tissue. Macha, bone marrow or the nerve tissue. I know when I say bone marrow or the nerve tissue, you will say that these are completely two different tissues. Both are included in the majja tissue. And then the last but not the least is the shukra or the tissue which is creating fertility in yourself. So the fertility tissue, whether it is the sperm or the ovum and the structures related to it, is covered in the shukra tissue. So there are many myths uh, considering these words, but understand that Ayurveda is talking about the tissues in the body when they use these words. And the important thing is, we are not talking about systems. We'll discuss in another thing why we are not talking about the systems. System is a closed thing, a closed circuit, whereas tissues are open circuits which can nourish from each other. So, nourishment has to happen from the rasa or the lymphatic tissue till the shukra, that is the fertility tissue, that is our belief. And then we say that it is very important that you try to evacuate mala or the waste products properly. So, somebody who is having constipation will properly understand the importance of evacuating stool every day. The discomfort it brings to the body will tell you how it should be. What should be evacuated in the proper quantity. So that is about the what are the main waste products in the body. One is the stool, the next is the urine, and the next one is the sweat. Removing sweat or sweating is equally important as stool and the urine. So these are the three factors which will decide the body physiology. We will talk in detail about each of these factors in the coming videos one by one. You please feel free to ask questions, and if you are interested in knowing about any disease or anything related to your health, please feel free to drop in a question at the chat box, and please subscribe so that you will know about the next videos, and like us on the YouTube, and help us to continue this venture into creating awareness towards Ayurveda and understanding Ayurveda as a scientific art and artistic science. Thank you very much for joining us today.